Happy to bring in Sara Donnelly, who is in charge of the jazz portfolio at South Arts, the regional arts organization. Sara, do we have you still? There she is.
Yeah, I didn't know I had to do that. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we all got to do everything.
I'm happy to be here. I love this series. I'm a friend of Michael's, and I want you to all know that the John Coltrane blue train behind his head is always there. He did not put it up just to be cool.
That's right. Thank you, Sara, for clarifying.
Because I love it. But also, yeah, I mean, public broadcasting, public radio, OZ, of course, to me is central and just as central as WPFW is in Washington, D.C., where you still have, that's a Pacifica station, but you still have singular curation where individuals really have an identity with their shows and they play what they want to do. And so I just feel very fortunate, and it is happening. It is managed by Katia Stitt, who is Sonny Stitt's daughter. So we have a big tie-in today. Good to see you too, Anna. And I'm going to jump right into Jazz Road because
yes,
that's what I'm here for. Jazz Road actually is started as a 4-year initiative in 2018, frankly. By 2019, Michael and I were actually holding convenings all around the country to try to get feedback about what type of program we wanted to create around touring and residency work and empowering artists to do this kind of work. So I'm going to put a plug in right away to the funders. That would be Doris Duke Charitable Foundation with additional support by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation's huge jazz lovers. Obviously, I would say that this program is one of the largest in philanthropy dedicated to jazz over the years. And I have been very excited to work with it. I'm going to also say public radio, since you brought it up, which is also very much a facet of what's possible in my programs. Doris Duke recently, in a very, I think, almost radical move, dedicated some funding to a circuit of jazz public radio stations, acknowledging how crucial they are to the community. So
yeah, we were able to talk about that a couple of weeks ago with Bill Johnson. It's super exciting. The jazz.
Yeah. So full circle. Jazz Road Tours immediately was formed to empower individual jazz artists to drive the creation, planning of their small tours. Everything about Jazz Road is artist-centric and artist-driven, including individual artists actually applying for grants as applicants and receiving funds and managing the whole orientation of their grant experience. To have individual artists get money to tour in the United States has been absolutely explosive for artists pretty much at every level of their career. There's an assumption that only emerging artists have not toured, and career artists that have been on festival marquees have toured a lot, and even legends have toured a lot. And frankly, we all know in the jazz world that there is not much touring in the United States, period. And the pandemic has absolutely underscored that. So to be able to support individual jazz artists to go to different areas of the country, the commitment by the funders and South Arts. Oh, I should have, let me back up. I didn't even say where I'm from. Let me just back. I'm the director of jazz at South Arts, and South Arts is one of the regional arts organizations in partnership with 5 others, created initially by the National Endowment for the Arts and working in partnership with the NEA and also member state arts agencies. So here we are in the South directing this program. The funders absolutely approached a Southern organization with the mindset that this music has traditionally always come from the South. The history of music in the South continues, whereby artists that are born there still need to come up here, to come to New York, to come to all the hubs that exist. They have to leave home. And so the creation of the program really also revolved around bringing music to many different areas of the country that artists have not been to before. Certainly rural outreach, and ultimately tours are successful when you have strong artistic quality and a tour that is put together as an amalgam of 3 to 6 dates that could be very different from each other. It's eclectic. It also acknowledges the DIY scenarios that were actually really popping up when this program was first being designed. So it is when we look at the first 31 tours that were supported in October of 2019, we had 31 fantastic tours. They're all on our website. By the time we got to March of 20, half of them were impossible. So half of my grant program had to be put on pause because tours were not possible. And we lost many amazing tours. When we were talking about the festival in New Orleans, well, we also have the festival Big Ears in Knoxville. And several of our tours were going to be routed through that event. So the best news has been that South Arts has been really flexible about that support. And we are allowing artists to just come to terms with how are they going to restructure this activity. And it's been really important to talk with them in creating the next program that I'm about to tell you about. So, but I did want to just say right now that Jazz Road Tours was changed to a rolling submission. There is no deadline. We are open now for those artists, and we have supported already 18 tours in the beginning of 2021 through August, primarily to artists that are maybe going to the South, maybe in warm climates for outdoor dates, working with smaller spaces that are not taking huge financial risks when they have low attendance. And ultimately, artists being so committed to getting back on the road, really, really persistent about making these dates happen. So please go to our website where you will see what we are doing. And I just want to say that the program is currently open and I'm getting some really exciting applications, which I'll talk about in a minute. Let's go to the fact that the second prong of the program is creative residencies. When it was initially framed, people thought about residencies, traditional residencies, the idea that artists generally, if you really wanted to be clear, you thought about something like the MacDowell Colony or, standalone organizations that provide residencies that are usually times for artists to be isolated and transformed in their creativity because they have a lot of solitude and can really focus. We are not doing that per se. We looked at creative residencies and we thought, well, how does that work in our field? Our field is that generally there are partnerships between artists and types of presenting organizations. And generally, I'd even say that presenting organizations that want to do residency work because they want to actually produce larger scale work and allow artists to use their resources, those are always the traditional models. So I had to look at a lot of stuff. First of all, the program is slated to continue through June of 22. So it's going to be a really interesting time because obviously 3 years of programming has radically been altered into something that is almost not recognizable. And we've lost a lot of space and time. And so we're going to see how things move forward. But meanwhile, I thought we need to really think about how residencies work. And usually residencies take a lot of time. We don't want to do that right now. I spoke to so many artists that said, when I think about residency, first of all, I'm not leaving my house. The pandemic, I'm just not leaving, period. I talked to other artists that said, this is amazing. What I've learned in the pandemic is that I do not need this current business model that jazz is almost trapped in at times. Artists have realized that it's been really great to get away from certain circuits and the way contracts work and middle people work and negotiating engagements, et cetera. Artists really want to be independent they have been in isolation. They've had this creative incubation, shelter in place, creativity in place. And now, of course, they are hungering to collaborate and be with people and develop new work and completely immerse themselves in very important community work for their art. Looking at community work and engagement also very much tied into the times. And like the fact that we have projects that are very much about, looking at social change and responding to George Floyd right now, So I'm off a little bit. So we just said, we're going to open creative residencies very broadly. Some people will say, where's the residency? But we decided that individual artists should be able to create what is most going to fulfill them creatively and or in the community, embracing community, embedding community, allowing artists to bring their music to communities that they want to bring it to, not that they are dictated to bring it to because they are doing a presenter partnership and they are supposed to do master classes and meet board members, et cetera, et cetera. So the program, Creative Residencies, 2 prongs. You can be coming in for creative development, everything from writing music at home to recording with a band or rehearsing music that has been stagnant over this pandemic, reuniting with band members, connecting anew with new collaborators. And then we also allow for videography. We allow for very personalized residency experiences, basically. And when you look at the guidelines, I guess we'll pop them up, but it's really, we can, but you're going to www.jazzroad.org.
It's in the chat. Yep.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Yep.
We launched this program Monday, you guys. I'm here because International Jazz Day completely overwhelms me because I just launched a program on Monday. And this is actually the setting that I want to be in because it's rich conversation. And I love the fact that we are also about to move to how jazz education is presented in the HBCU environment. And the fact that the South is the primary home for the majority of HBCUs, I believe. But so back to creative residencies. Monday at launch, deadline is July 1. Projects won't begin until late October. And so we really are looking at an 8-month frame right now. And that means that artists can support very small projects for $5,000. Individual artists can also apply for $40,000 because they are managing a larger ensemble. They are paying adequate fees. This is about adequate compensation every step of the way. I should have said that for tours and residencies. And I am so excited to see what's going to come in. I wrote so many possibilities in the guidelines. And finally, running an artist-centric program and allowing an individual artist to create a $40,000 budget, we have made the decision that we are not interested in seeing how that budget is matched. We do not require a match, and we don't need to know exactly what other income could be coming toward the project. So with that in mind, that's what I want to say. I do want to talk for a second about partnership because the program is absolutely allowing partnership, but we do not mandate that these projects involve partners. But let's not step away from the fact that now we have an opportunity to also help jazz clubs that have completely fallen apart, jazz festivals that want to bring artistic directors in and they just don't know if they can cover the fees. We have an opportunity for individual artists to say, I want a week at the Blue Note and I am going to make it really different. And I'm going to cover most of my fees because this club is completely obliterated by the pandemic. Partnership will always be defined by the artist and the partner. We are not involved in managing that. But it does mean that artists in this program have 2 opportunities. They can actually drive it entirely solo or with, collaborating with artists, or they can collaborate with partners. And partners are also incredibly non-traditional. We have listed everything from churches to bookstores to bodegas to libraries, universities, etc. So it's all in there. And I just want to say, I think I'm almost out of time, but we are going to support a lot of these. And so I really would like to spread the word about this program. The application, those artists that are not used to applying for grants, I hope that those on this call that are, and those in the community that you embrace, Michael, that you all can get involved in helping artists learn more about grant making. And I mean, not that you're going to be writing jazz applications, but I think you get the point. Because again, we just really want to empower artists to drive these projects. And I guess what I would just say is that the criteria still absolutely requires high artistic excellence, artists that can really show a record in their career. Because again, usually residencies catapult an artist to another section of their career. It's very unclear right now where any careers are. And, but we do want these experiences to be exceptional. We don't want this to be run of the mill, and we want it to be exceptional. And finally, community engagement, again, needs to be very heartfelt, unique, sincere, genuine connection, where a lot of different possibilities can occur between community. Community can be defined in so many different ways. Community partners can be defined in so many different ways. So
thank you then. And,
done.
Same with, Dave's conversation, we easily could fill the whole hour just digging into the stuff. And I wish we had more time for all this stuff, but just to echo a couple of things that you're doing, or that we kind of take away from the work that you and your colleagues at South Arts and the foundations are doing. I think first is this really kind of pragmatic recognition that, going back years, that the existing commercial marketplace just isn't enough, and that if we really truly want to value, in this instance, jazz as an art form, we need to have some radical interventions to think about how do we get money on the street and how do we engage audiences. And we don't have time to kind of dig deeper into that, but sort of implied and the whole design of Jazz Road is that there's a whole community of people that would love to get and become jazz fans, would like to be the next generation of supporters, but the access is just typically not there. It's not that easy, to kind of be in there. So being creative and innovative in terms of how do you, both pay artists, really good wages to go out and do their craft, while also trying to get in front of new people. It's such a smart sort of intersection of how do we take two really important priorities and kind of combine them. I love thank you, Tia from Seattle, for the great comment in the chat. And we definitely are excited to kind of do anything we can do to help spread the word about the residencies and the flexibility around them. And certainly, I mean, I know we've all gone through a really difficult and traumatic 18 months, just in terms of shutdown and dealing with all those realities. And it's going to be amazing to see this community get back up on their feet and kind of what comes next.
Yeah, and I do have to just plug 1 second is that we did develop an emergency fund for jazz artists. And across the nation in 42 states, we supported 450 artists with $1,000 awards. So we're still looking at how to help artists recover all the time. And thank you. Yeah. And I hope you got that the program is national, in case you didn't. Jazz Road is national.
Yes, yes. Operated out of South Arts, but national in scope. And again, Sara, thanks. We'll have you back down the road to check in on how the residencies are going and the tours are going. And it's great to see you as always. Thank you so much.